Hello, beloved listener. This is DearPsychopomp. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Joining me today is the one and only Jack Raymond, a beautiful, beautiful soul who writes as though he can see directly into my brain. He's had his works released since 2015, building a massive following through his absolute radical, raw honesty. He tackles the complexities of love and grief, addiction, and wanderlust with a voice that doesn't hold back. And I think that's exactly what we need these days, is to not hold back, because everything has just kind of gone the way of abbreviations and emojis, and to be able to use our voices to speak the truth is just almost a dying art. Jack, thank you so much for being here and joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I really, really admire your work. It's not often that every single piece that a writer creates can resonate with you, and you have this uncanny ability to invoke feelings, even if that's not a feeling you had before. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's whimsical. It's beautiful. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you. To start off with, I was wondering if you would like to read one of your favorite writings for us.
I would, and thank you again for that. That was writing is such a, as you know, deeply personal thing. So, it's always awesome to hear that these little things that come out of you that feel so wholly unique, you kind of send them out into the world, and then it reaches someone else kind of unexpectedly at the perfect time or right time, and they needed to hear it, and then they leave a comment or a message or reach out to me as you did, and it's like they bring me the gift back, and I get to kind of enjoy it a second time through you. And so it's just, it really is an honor, and it means a lot to me. I'll read something from my latest release, which is actually a compilation of all of my books, all of my favorite, most popular writings from the past 11 years. I can't believe I've even been doing this 11 years and have enough material to compile a best of book, but it's called The First 10, and it's really the first 10 years of my writing life, I guess. And it's one of my more popular poems, and I actually wrote it for a young woman who lost her sister to addiction. And a lot of my writing and a couple of my books are actually entirely custom poems written for and about other people based on their life story or situation. So it's called Best of You. I want to smile again without feeling guilty. I want to miss you without coming undone. I want to celebrate your life without my heart breaking. If there's a good side of grief, I've yet to reach it. It's not getting any easier. Time isn't helping. Some days I feel as if the pain only deepens. The roads ahead seem longer without you walking them beside me. It's like I'm resistant to joy, pushing back against my own happiness. I'm afraid that healing means forgetting, and I'm not ready to leave. Let me sit here for a little while longer. There are things I needed to tell you that I never got the chance to, things you deserve to hear. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not doing more. If it were possible to bear your pain, I would have. Even when distant, my world was better because you were in it. I was always proud of you. My love for you is constant, unconditional, eternal. There are pieces of you I'm discovering in me, little gifts you unknowingly left behind. Even your absence is filled with moments worth revisiting. Maybe, instead of learning how to live without you, I'll just bring the best of you with me. Maybe we're not meant to move on. We're meant to move with. And I remember writing that, and like a lot of things that, as it goes with writing and sharing your work, you don't know always, you know, if the magnitude of a piece or how it might resonate with someone. I try my best to just honor those who I write for when it's for myself and just based on my own situation and circumstances. Um, I guess I don't worry too much about it. I just write from the heart. But when it's for and about someone else, especially about someone that they may have lost, you don't know. And her response to it was kind of all I could ever hope for. And she encouraged me to share it. And when I shared it online, um, I think that poem alone, that writing alone, has probably been shared over 1,000,000 times at this point. And to see it just kind of reach people the way it has been, like I said, it's been an honor to be able to give back to people in a way, because, and I'm sure we'll get into it at some point, how I started writing in my career kind of began from a place of loss, and that was kind of the catalyst of it. So to now kind of channel my own loss and grief in a way to help others going through the middle of their own loss and grief has been, like I said, just an honor.
Beautiful. I really love that piece. It's so versatile.
Mhm.
Like you can use it with so many different situations. Yeah. And sorry, my cat likes it too. And while you were reading it, it made me think of my dad. Because I lost my dad to addiction. And like how many things he won't be here for to see or witness or grow into. Like thank goodness he wasn't alive to see Ozzy die, because that would have done him in. That would have done him in for sure.
And now he's rocking out with him, hopefully.
Oh, probably, yeah. Shredding the guitar.
Love that.
I was wondering, because the name of that piece is Best of You, I was wondering what your thoughts are on, when we do lose someone or something or anything like that, we kind of romanticize what could have been or the lost potential. But for more complex situations, like I was estranged from my father. And so I wonder what the other side of that would be. The hurts that won't happen, and the hearts that won't break. And yeah, little writing prompt for me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and it is so, and grief is like that. It's just so, it not that it's difficult to speak about, because it's probably the most human experience that we all share in. It's certainly a commonality and thread woven throughout every single one of our lives. You live long enough, you're going to experience grief, and of different kinds. No two griefs. And I know some of this stuff is maybe cliche at this point, but no two losses are the same, like no two loves are the same, and it comes in waves, and it'll sneak up on you sometimes, and we grieve the ones we lost, the ones that hurt us, the ones that were perfect in our eyes, and the ones that were, in your case and mine. My father was died young and was also an addict. Yeah, it's very easy to romanticize them, and I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, certainly it's a different kind of hurt that comes with it. The hurt that you don't have to endure anymore by seeing someone suffer, but also the loss of that potential in life and maybe what could have been.
Definitely the loss of of possibility, I think, is the big thing with people who have lost anyone. Well, not just to addiction, but anything really. I think it gets a bit complex as well with, losing someone to unnatural causes, because until you have that first big loss in your life, you have this just wonderful mindset of innocence, and I think part of that with grieving is it makes you grow up a little bit, and you're kind of grieving the loss of that as well, because you're no longer who you were, because that person or that thing is no longer in your life. Yeah. You said before that the catalyst was a sort of grief. Would you like to tell your story?
I would love to. I've always loved reading and writing since I was a child, and I didn't know this till later. I did another podcast or a radio interview a few years ago, and they asked me. It never dawned on me until when I told them the story, and they were shocked by it. But when I was a kid, I used to take my favorite books and I would rewrite them longhand, and I didn't really think anything of it, but I would kind of rewrite the characters, create new plots and storylines, create a whole new ending, a whole new world to this story that I really liked. I would do it with like Goosebumps and like whatever books that I loved already. And I just told that story, and they were like, "Yeah, that's crazy. No one does that." And I'm like, "Really? All right. Well, I love that." And so they were just taken aback by that. So anyway, it was always this thing that I could sink into, and I had two parents who were addicts, alcoholics, and from a very young age, you just kind of isolate, like you alluded to. You grow up quickly, either from grief or through being raised around that kind of chaos or trauma. And art, writing, reading was such a perfect escape for me, and I didn't think anything of it. It was just a hobby. It was something that I just loved, and it had always been with me. But I graduated high school, and like a lot of people, thought I needed to just get a job and figure out what to do with my life, and went to a job fair, became an insurance agent, and did that for about 7 years. Hated it. Made enough money to where I thought I should be happy, and was the opposite of that. Had no idea where to even go from there. It was the only job I'd ever really had, and I was okay at it, I guess. I was just successful enough to where I thought I had to do it. But was really just disenchanted by it, disheartened by it. And my father was diagnosed with cancer, in large part because of his lifestyle, and passed away very quickly. They gave him about 90 days, and almost 90 days to the day he passed. And I'm named after him. I look just like the man. He was, in almost every way, he was the man that I looked up to, my hero. And it instantly changed everything for me. I've said so many times that the worst thing that has ever happened to me is the best thing that has ever happened to me. And there's a very weird dichotomy that goes with that. I would not be here where I am today, 8, 9 books later, a few bestsellers later, had that not happened. I'm confident. It changed everything. And not only in very beautiful ways that I hope make him proud, but in devastating ways that led to my own addiction, which formed shortly after his passing, and took 10 years for me to get out of. But I remember so vividly the moment after he passed, having that kind of coming to Jesus moment where I realized I don't like the person I am. I'm becoming. I tried so hard to be the opposite of my father. He was very blue collar and rough, man's man, and hence me going into the insurance world, the corporate world, and wearing a suit every day and driving a Lexus and thinking that mattered. And then he passes, and I realize I don't even like this person that I'm pretending to be. And what do I actually want to do with my life? And the first thing that I thought to do, as all writers will understand, is to grab a pen and spill your guts into it. And for 2 days, I manically wrote him a love letter, how proud I was to be his son, how much I loved him, how much he meant to me, how hard I will work to hopefully make him proud. And just all of the things that I was too proud to tell him while he was living.
Yeah.
And I know it more as much as I've ever known anything. In the middle of writing that note to him, that letter to him, I knew this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. I quit my job 2 weeks later. I had a publishing contract about 6 months after that. I started sharing my work online, and it kind of just grew and spread quickly. And when I say that his death changed everything, changed the absolute trajectory and course of my life forever, it did in a very tangible, quick way. And I still write to him. I still write to him, and I think every day that I get to connect with others who are in the middle of their own grief, or just writing in general and sharing it, and it reaches someone, I think in some really cool way, I'm honoring his life, and so it's been a gift for sure.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, even just being a part of him
Mm.
and being able to take that control back for yourself and take back that passion and that zest for life
Sure.
is honoring
your
father,
for sure.
And I often think about, because I hear, as a death doula, I hear a lot of, I just want to make him proud. I just want my mom to be proud of me. Like, we all, at the end of the day, are just big kids who want to hear an adultier adult say, "I'm proud of you, kiddo, you did good." And it's kind of, I don't know, we don't say things like that anymore. And so, internet stranger, I am proud of you. Your accomplishments are insane, and you're not doing it for the accomplishment, you're doing it for the love of it and for the actual act of expressing yourself and getting it out there. And the way that you put those words together is just amazing. So thank you for your gift to the world. It's some of the most raw and reassuring and real things that I've ever read. Like, I wish I could write like that. It's just so beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. So when your dad passed away, were you there with him?
He was terminal, so we tried to spend as much time with him as we could. We had family members flying in, so it gave us an opportunity to spend time with those family members too that we didn't get a chance to spend a lot of time with. I have a weird relationship with death now as a result. I was only 26, 27 when it happened. I'm 40 now. So I've got some years and grays to show since that time, but when he passed, it was, and this is, I never want this to come across as indelicate or insensitive. How people grieve is their own thing. But for me, I was kind of shocked because to me, it felt like this was not my father. Whatever energy entity that made him had long since gone. And so, we had family members who were sitting bedside saying goodbye to him after he had passed, waiting, the coroner waiting to take his body. And I just remember a couple things had happened. One, being the oldest son, I didn't have the space or opportunity to grieve right away. That was it for everyone else. My mother, my younger brother, and in a way that felt like a privilege and honor to be able to now not assume his role, but I can be the sturdy, steady one for a minute and let everyone break a little.
Yeah.
And so it took a couple weeks before I even did it. But nothing really helped as much as just those 2 days after I left and went home and wrote. That was like, that felt more like I was connecting with him than holding his hand afterwards. But yeah, we were there and I was there. He was at home and it was quick, so he didn't like have to suffer. It wasn't this prolonged, dragged out thing, thank God. But yeah, we were there and it was in a way it was beautiful.
It is. It's beautiful and raw, and it's you can feel the electricity in the air, the energy, the whatever you want to call it, when someone has taken their final breath.
Yeah.
And especially with a addiction and terminal illness, it's so true that once the body starts shutting down, the spirit's still there. It just can't express itself. And you can tell with animals and people, if you look into their eyes after they die, you can just tell that they're not there anymore.
Right.
And it's not something that everybody gets to see or experience, but it's profound.
Sure.
And I find that, I mean, I'm a little skewed because I'm around grief and death and dying all the time. But I find that every time there's a loss, like you were saying before, it is different every single time. I have people ask me, well, like, since you've been around death so much, like, does it get easier? Do you get used to it? I'm like, no. It's different every single time. Just like every time you stand in a river, you're standing in different water. It's just, it's, and so for when you started writing after your father passed away, while you dove into, I believe you said drinking?
Yes. Well, yeah, at first, sure.
Yeah, I did too. My grief brain, because like it changes the molecules in your brain. Grief actually physiologically changes your brain. And my brain thought that having a drink was a way of honoring my dad.
Wow. Same, 100% the same thing.
Yeah, and it came to like, well, I'm honoring my dad, and this is what dad would do. And it was like a personal challenge for me to be like, well, I'm just grieving. I can quit whenever I want. This is fine. And then I remember one day I was outside on the porch drinking and writing. And it just kind of hit me. It's like, this is probably how dad started. This is probably what dad was choosing. This is what he was looking for at the bottom of a bottle. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Because I watched him for decades, destroy his body.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be especially weird when, because like my dad was 58 when he died. And I'm 40 as well. And I've been not dreading, but curious, I guess, about how I'm going to feel when I turn 59. Because that's something that my dad never got to see.
Yeah.
And I find the older I get, the more, I guess, mature things I'm thinking about. Because when I was younger, it's, I'm never going to go to the park or get pushed on the swing, or, it was all about me, which is okay, by the way.
Sure.
It's absolutely okay. But I wasn't thinking about what he was going to miss out on. I was thinking about what I was going to miss out on without him there. And I wonder if anything would have changed anyways.
Right.
Because we have this major life event of losing our father, a figure in our life that we're supposed to be able to trust and be loved by unconditionally, and they're supposed to teach us how to adult. And
Right.
And then we grow up and we find out, like, oh, okay, parents are humans. And that's a very sobering, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
a very sobering thought. Yeah, I wonder. And we were talking before, and you said that you are just so proud to be a girl dad. And I'm wondering how that ties in with your grief and how it kind of helps you heal, being able to, give your daughter things that you couldn't have or that you would have wanted, and how that kind of all forms together.
Yeah. Where grief in many ways, I don't want to say that it hardened me, because it did for a moment. It taught me the fragility of life, the impermanence of us all, and we're not here for very long. And I know, again, it's cliche that any day could be your last. His, for me, felt pretty close to it just happening, the suddenness of it. So in my 26, 27-year-old brain, that was a lot to process, as someone who pretty much, at the age of like 7 or 8, felt kind of unsafe in their own space and body. Only therapy, for the most part, was going to help that, and that took a while, a lot longer than his after his passing. So, grief it hardened me in a lot of ways, and it was such a scary. It was like my nerve endings were exposed for the first time. I had been just so closed off for so long, and his grief or his loss kind of just stripped me of this armor for a minute, and it makes sense why I immediately turned to alcohol and substances to numb that again, to go back into the space of not feeling so much. My daughter, um, ooh, she, without trying, has put compassion and gentility and patience and a softness in me and my heart that I don't think anybody else could have ever done that. So I get to honor my father by how I show up and live each day. I'm so grateful that I was able to shake free of my addictions before my daughter was ever born. And she will never know that version of me, whereas I never got to know the version of my father who wasn't an addict.
Yeah.
And I think that of all the ways that I could honor him and my daughter, it would be to remember who my father was, who he never got a chance to be, and take that lesson. I know a lot of people throw it out there and they mean it almost in a derogatory way. About how their parents teach them. My parents taught me what not to do. And, I understand that. And certainly my parents have too. My mom continues to teach me sometimes what not to do. But that isn't how I want to carry his legacy. I've learned so much more from my father since he's passed than I gave him the opportunity to teach me while he was living. The last 13, 14 years since he's been gone, I have those seeds that he planted in me when I was too young and ignorant and stubborn to appreciate have fully bloomed and blossomed in me. And so those lessons are directly from him, and I get to give those to my daughter now. And so that's what I couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah. Well, and you get to give it to the world too. You get to,
Sure.
It's one of the main things about writing that I appreciate, that I am drawn to, is it connects you to the past, to the future, to different people, different places.
Yeah.
And so it was always a place of escape for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also because I grew up with, just not a great childhood. My parents weren't really ready to be parents. And so I grew up feeling invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And in my 5-year-old little brain, I was like, if I write, because I was in love with books, especially Goosebumps, the one with the camera that like predicted people's death. Oh,
so good.
That was my favorite one. It was awesome.
Brilliant.
And I was like, I want to be like R.L. Stine. I want to be like Stephen King. I want to.
Yeah.
It's your legacy that lives on, and in my little ego is like, even when I'm gone, my writing will still be here.
Yeah.
Even if it's not published, someone will find it, I'm sure.
Sure.
But I wonder, like, is that a part of what writing is for you as well? Do you use it as a tool for growth, or to kind of like bookmark different places in your life?
It is, my daughter and my wife they have just brought out the absolute best version of me as a man who's still trying to grow and learn and be a better husband and father, of course. But a very close second to both of them has been writing. Nothing has changed and saved my life more than the blank page. And I don't know if people who aren't artistically inclined, if that's not something that they don't use that side of the brain, I don't know if it makes a whole lot of sense to them. Artists get it, because it is so free. It's the safest place I've ever known. It doesn't judge, it doesn't critique or criticize. I do that. I do that ruthlessly. But the page doesn't care. I can tell all my dirtiest, darkest secrets to it. And it never casts aspersions. It just receives and welcomes, and I love it for that. I will do it. I have this platform now, but I'll tell you, it, the platform, if anything, having a bunch of followers or books or deadlines, or I have a writing class and I coach and consult now other writers and artists, and all of these things are beautiful and they're blessings, and it's a privilege to do it. But those things, if anything, just take away from what I originally fell in love with, and that was just the freedom to express myself sincerely and honestly. I I grew up very insecure. You felt invisible. I felt inadequate, and that is something to this day I still wrestle with. And um, it doesn't matter when you're writing. If you
Yeah.
The hardest part is getting to the writing. Once you are writing, right? Once you are at the desk, once you are typing or writing, well, then you're free. Then everything's fine. You're flying, and it's always felt like that for me. I it's cathartic. I use it to time travel, just like you, forward and backwards. Um, it allows me to dream and heal. I don't think it's a mystery why therapists often recommend we journal and use a diary, and why successful people do it at the end of each day. It's so much more than just a hobby if you utilize it the right way. I think sometimes
Yeah.
artists like us take it too far and we maybe apply too much pressure to ourselves to do it.
No.
But it's meant and intended to be a freeing experience, and the more fun and joy we bring to it, I mean, it's there for you. It's there to console you, but it's also there, I think, to uplift you, and we should remember that sometimes. I know I should. I think I take it so seriously sometimes that I forget I can also write jokes. I can also write about farts and boogers. Like I could write about all sorts of childish, immature things that just make me smile and instantly make my day a little bit better.
Yeah. Do like a haiku on farts.
Yeah.
Could be fun.
A haiku on farts. That's right. That's a book title right there.
No, I like that. And it's so, I love that anyone can do it.
Mm-hmm.
It is for everyone, by everyone, except for AI.
Right.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I'll have you on the show a different time. We'll talk about AI and writing. One thing, when you were talking about therapy, I find, and I don't mean to generalize, but I do find that most of my clients who do go to therapy are women. Especially with our generation and the generation before us, because you had, you know, all the war vets and everything raising a bunch of kids to be tough and don't cry, and boys don't cry, and chin up and shoulders back. And then, you know, the intergenerational trauma just kind of trickles down. And so for our generation, I think it's starting to go towards like, okay, therapy is not a bad thing. It's okay to talk about it. As a man, what would you tell other men about therapy or anything like that to encourage them?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was a denouncer or detractor of therapy or professional mental health help. I wasn't. I just didn't do it, and should have. And nobody in my family, as far as I know, ever did it either. I don't even know if we had health insurance most of my life, to be honest with you. So that wasn't happening either. But it was at the behest of my wife when we first started dating. I started doing this project when I got clean and sober called the Kindred Project, and it was something that had been on my heart for most of my career. When I first started sharing my work publicly, I, within a couple weeks, had people messaging me asking if I would write something specific to them in their life. And so I gave the option, or I introduced this option of custom poetry. And it was just this kind of really impersonal um, thing where you could go on my website, you could buy a custom poem, and then you would ramble off the Cliff Notes version of your life story and email it to me. I'd read it and I'd pump out a poem. I'd send it to you, you'd read it, if hopefully it connected, but that was it. That was the end of the exchange. And it was there wasn't much depth to it. I didn't really get to know you that well other than what you shared with me via email. I was deep into drugs and alcohol and knew that there's no way that I could connect with someone on such a deep and personal level hungover or intoxicated. So it was out of the question.
Yeah.
When I finally got clean and sober, I thought my career was over. I had identified so much with as this tortured artist that the idea of I literally had myself convinced that I'll never be able to write again, which is just a complete farce. And if anyone out there thinks that, I can't tell you how misguided that thinking is. Your mental acuity comes back almost instantly. You start remembering things that your brain smoothed out while drunk or high. Your energy levels, you're not hungover. You wake up with a zest and zeal again. The world's not on fire. There's a million reasons why your art will improve if you're not just sideways all the time.
Yeah.
So it just came to me almost in the same way that when I wrote that love letter to my father, that like idea, whatever energy came to me and it was like, this is what you should do with your life. I got clean and sober a couple weeks into it. I knew this was the right time to connect with as many people as I could and publish an entire book of custom poems written for and about other people. I didn't know if anyone would want to do it. It was just an idea that I had. I announced it. 100 people signed up that day, and I was like, oh shit, I don't actually know what I'm doing. And I'll never forget it. I know this is a long-winded answer to your therapy question, but I'll bring it back around. I remember, so the plan was that I was going to meet with each person. I didn't want you to rattle off some email about your life story and whatever. I wanted to actually meet with each person like this one-on-one and hear your story. I wanted to take as many notes as I could, and I wanted to look you in the eyes, and I wanted to connect with you on a real human level. And the first day that I did interviews, I foolishly, naively scheduled like 9 or 10 of them.
Oof.
I had never spoken to anyone like that. I had never even gone to therapy myself. I only had my own problems that I was trying to deal with. I was clean and sober for all of like 15 days. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the day, I'm like in the fetal position, like rocking. I need like an emergency blanket just pulled over me because I'm just like, what? And I'll tell you, those early days of the first Kindred project, I'm now on my 3rd volume of it. Those first 2 volumes became bestsellers again, reinvigorated my career. I don't know if I'd be here without it, but those early months of interviewing and connecting with these 100 people, they thought that I was doing them this huge service by just listening to their story. And so much of their story was about grief, those they've lost, and abuse, sexual and domestic violence, things that I had no experience really relating to people with, that I was just trying to hold space for. And I was unprepared to do it. But as much as they think that that I was doing them some kind of favor by turning their pains and their heartbreaks and their tragedies into poetry, it was them, honestly, that was holding me up. They buoyed my spirits. I was so fragile and shaken early. Anyone who's ever dealt with addiction knows what I mean. You're trying to figure out life all over again, and you're so unsure about yourself and your direction. It's like, am I even going to survive, really? And those stories and those contributors they first changed my life, and I saved it, and then they changed it. And I hope I have the opportunity to continue to work on these Kindred Project books for the rest of my life. Every time I do one, I'm like, well, that was fun and that was cool. You know, it's the end of that. And then and then another one happens, and then now a third one, and I just got approval for a fourth one. So it's like,
Nice.
it's been just brilliant, and I love it. But all that to say, when I met my wife, I had just started working on volume 2, and I didn't realize how much everyone's stories of grief, loss, sexual violence, abuse was affecting me. I didn't realize it because I was by myself.
Right.
Until I was on the phone with her one day, and she was like, "What is wrong?" And I didn't know. I didn't know what was wrong. I just felt terrible, and it was landing on her. And she was like, "You should maybe go to therapy." Like, just in general, but also because of this project.
Yeah.
You've gone through a lot of stuff as a child, the death of your father, and there's many deaths that I've dealt with since his, and maybe you should. And, I went into a therapist's office, and this is where I would suggest, to all men, people in general, but especially men, where we don't know how to, most times it's as simple as we don't have someone to talk to. And it's really just that easy. We just need someone to talk to. And everyone's problems and baggage is a little different. Like I said earlier, mine was, I had this deep rooted feeling of inadequacy. I am not good enough, and nothing I do will ever be good enough. No matter what, I can make all the money in the world. I can have a beautiful wife, family, and home. It does not matter. I'm not good enough. And so I needed someone to tell me that I was wrong, that I am good enough, and then to give me tools to start to trick my brain into the truth.
Yeah.
I had been believing a lie for a very long time, but that lie was very comfortable and familiar.
Yeah.
And I found a million reasons to support this narrative in my head that I was not good enough. And anytime something went wrong or didn't go exactly as I hoped it would, see, told you, I'm not good enough. Why would it have worked out? Those good things only happen to other people, not for me. And I found evidence to support this narrative that I was not a good enough person. And it started, I'll never forget it, how it changed for me. It literally started with me having to look myself in the mirror and say, "You're a good person." And when I tell you the amount of cringe that came oozing out of me when I did that, it was unbearable. I couldn't believe people did this all the time and believed it and didn't laugh in their own face. And it took me weeks of doing it before I could just handle it.
Yeah.
And then I started to develop other tools. Meditating has had such an incredible impact on my life, to just get still and silent for a couple minutes a day. It shows you how just absolutely insane you might be when you get quiet for 30 seconds and you see, oh wow, that's the other way of living. I didn't even know that was an option. So those kinds of things all came from therapy. And I stepped into that therapist's office thinking she was going to unlock some creative trap door that I had never accessed or knew existed, and I was just going to I was going to skip out of the therapist's office and go write the next great American novel.
Yeah.
And that we spoke for a year about my mom. It had nothing to do with my writing. So, you never know what you're going to find in there. But I know talk therapy is one tool, and for me, it just set me on a path of a tremendous amount of healing.
Good. I'm so glad. And I mean, it's so important to have that connection, and not necessarily with your partner or your friends. One thing I'm learning is, just because I'm a writer and I'm verbose and I'm loquacious doesn't mean
Sure.
that everyone wants to hear what's on my mind. and kind of going with that, it's made me such a better listener, which has made me a better writer. Because I can write about me all day. I'm an expert on me.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm pretty good. But when someone else shows me a part of them that I haven't seen, even in myself, it opens you up. And having someone like third party partial point of view to say, you're actually being kind of a dick to yourself, let's rewrite that, is sometimes that's exactly what you need. And I really resonated with looking at yourself in the mirror and talking to yourself, because, and I find it ironic because as a writer, words are very important to me. And I can write with passion and integrity and beauty. But if I'm not holding a pen and I'm looking in the mirror instead, why can't I express that without a pen? Why is it suddenly the opposite? Because it's still, the mirror is not judging me.
Sure.
The light doesn't care what I say. You know, and it's incredible how, I think it was my pride, maybe. Pride and ego.
Ego's a big one.
Ego's huge. I found a really good way, pardon me, to keep your ego in check.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and not everyone can do it.
No.
No, my challenge for people, for myself, for clients, for friends, anything like that, is set an alarm on your phone for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. That's how many seconds? That's not a heck of a lot. It's like, what, 300 seconds. And maintain eye contact with yourself in the mirror. How long can you do it for? How long can you face yourself unblinking without saying anything? And I don't know how many times I've done that, and I'll start crying, or something will come to me, or I'll just start talking to myself and being like, hey, looking pretty good today. You got the, I got the gray streaks going on. I'm really loving that. And because usually I would look in the mirror to put on my makeup or make sure my hair is doing whatever. But I never looked at myself the way other people look at me. And so when I started doing that, I could see my facial expressions. I could have a little conversation with myself, and I could get to know my face better and my smile better, and therefore know myself better.
Yeah.
Just with 5 minutes in a mirror.
Sure.
And it took a little while because, I grew up with the whole Bloody Mary thing. So I was like, cleanse the mirror first. Yeah. Sure. You never know.
Well, and that it's, to go back to the therapy thing, like I remember a therapist recommending finding, I know this is common, but finding a picture of like the younger version of you, a picture of you in childhood, and talking to that picture. Again, it felt incredibly uncomfortable for me to do that. But when you think about that, and I really, at this point, as far as the writing that I share publicly, I really try my best to make, there's a bunch of things that I could bitch about. And I have a lot of bones to pick with the world and politicians and name it. But, and as artists, as writers and creators, I think we should dive into those kinds of muddy waters. I think where you can do whatever you want and everyone has the freedom to write about whatever they'd like. But I do think that as artists, I think it's cool that we almost have that responsibility of of touching the things that so many are afraid to touch, to talk about the things that are uncomfortable and are maybe polarizing. And I love that. I think at this next level or phase of my career, as I've matured and become a father, really, I think that has probably opened me up to, as much as anything, just the injustices and these things that I was ignorant and unaware of, or maybe even just look the other way.
Yeah.
I find now as a father, and uh, and the other part, when I was started doing the Kindred project, I got about 80 contributors in out of my first 100, and realized about 75% of the people that I had spoken to and interviewed were victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. And I was just completely floored by that, just how many.
Yeah.
It was just kind of terrifying to me that it was so prolific. And so I like that we get to dive into these things, that we get to talk about the uncomfortable things, but to your earlier point, I really want to try my best with my work publicly to uplift people at this point, to talk about things in a way that gives them a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
And
permission.
Yeah. Permission, because that's really what I didn't realize until I started going to therapy and just had to tell myself that I was a good person, how much self-loathing that there was. Honestly, like, I think we're so brutal to ourselves that, like, if you really think about it, why is it so much more uncomfortable for me to say I like who I am versus I'm a piece of shit? Like, that's, to me, a big problem. And I know that just through my writing, that there's a lot of people out there who feel that same way. It's way easier for them to cut themselves down than it is to just embrace themselves or say good job. Like, and that's really sad. And so we can maybe connect with people more easily through that.
I think it's because, I mean, at least personally, it's because I was cut down so much by the people who were supposed to lift me up and I was supposed to be able to trust. And if they don't like me, well, no one's gonna like me, because they're the ones who are supposed to like me.
Sure. Well, internet
in
stranger,
the eyes of a kid.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Yeah, I'm so glad we got to connect.
So
I would love to stay in touch.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to just let the listeners and watchers know that you're on Facebook as Jack Raymond. And there's the Facebook channel that you have. It's called Ambient Light. Anyone can join it. It's inspirational. It's beautiful. There's prompts. I highly recommend it to anyone, especially if you're just starting off with writing. And if do you have any other passages you'd like to read?
Why not? Let's see. All right, this one seems kind of aligned with what we were just talking about. It's called Hurried. Please be careful with me. I only act like I'm something indestructible. When you've experienced the type of trauma I have, you learn how to grieve quickly. There was never much time to break. The world never slowed down for my suffering. I was too young to understand how to heal. My arms weren't strong enough to hold myself together. It was impossible to know which pieces were meant to come with me and which ones were meant to be left behind. So I carried the heaviest ones I could. People believe me to be insensitive, but they're wrong. I feel everything. too many wrong things usually, but I'm learning to let my successes overshadow my mistakes, that the love in my life has always outweighed all the loss, who to turn away from, who it's safe to turn towards, and that even though I've carried the heaviest pieces with me all this time, many of them were never actually mine. Please be careful with me. You're getting a side of me I rarely ever show, a side I'm only now getting to know.
That one's saved on my phone.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
well, then it was meant to be read. I'm glad. And
Yeah.
thank you for connecting with it.
Yeah. Thank you for giving words to younger me. Very, very healing.
It means the world to me that you invited me on here, and seriously, you should be proud of yourself, and thank you for reaching out. You didn't have to do that, and yeah, it means a lot to me. I hope you keep doing what you're doing because you do it well.
Thank you. You too. I can't wait to
Thank you.
get some of those books.
Yeah.
I need to make more room for books. Maybe I'll get rid of a cat or something. I'm just joking.
No, don't do that.
I'm just joking. Sorry. Okay, awesome. For the listeners and the watchers, thank you so much for being here. This has been another episode of Dear Psychopomp. Let's talk about death. And of course, death isn't a secret. Let's talk about it.